All right. So let me very first, oh gosh, I should back my computer up a little bit. That's a problem when you use computers. Okay, so let's introduce you. So we are now live on Facebook, yay. And I'm Ruby. I'm going to actually soon be the co-coordinator for ICAN and also the social media manager. I also run my business Welfare for Animals, which focuses on rescue dogs internationally. And today we get to know Canine Arthritis Management with Dr. Hannah. All right, Hannah, Dr. Hannah, can you please tell us who you are and about why you started CAM?
Yay.
And just sorry, before I forget, to anybody who's missed this, it's going to be recorded. So if you missed it, we'll put it on YouTube afterwards. Sorry, go ahead.
Good job. So my name's Hannah. I am a vet based in the UK. I've been a vet for 20 years, which is pretty scary actually. And I got very fixated on arthritis in around about 2011, 2012. Pennies were dropping, light bulbs were going off, and I realized that we're just not doing what we could do for the disease. So I started looking around at additional courses that would supplement my vet knowledge and try and start looking at this bigger picture, because we were missing massive chunks out of how to manage it. And then I set up a Facebook page because I realized that I was helping a couple of people improve their dog's care. And I was thinking, actually, this material could go out to a bigger audience, and they could implement changes that could have a massive impact on their dog. So Facebook then went a bit nuts, and it was kind of cool. You're like, whoa, I didn't expect so many people to be that interested. But they should be, obviously. And then it stimulated me setting up a website, and then the website over the last 6 years has turned into multiple groups on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, website, forum, shop, practice training, owner training, books. It's gone crazy, but that's good because it means it's working. And bear in mind that chronic pain management is a huge welfare concern. To know that the work that you and your team is doing is going crazy, can't get better than that, can you?
Yeah, and I was thinking about that because one thing I talk about openly is I have endometriosis, and so I live in chronic pain, and so having that situation for myself, I have great empathy for animals who have chronic pain because they can't vocalize it. And I know that you have that fantastic YouTube video of it's silence. What is it called?
Silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, in silence. Yeah, that's my dog. Well, she's not with me anymore.
Oh, so I really
forever immortalized, doing good.
Oh, but I love it because I almost started bawling in that video because that's how I felt, and so I look at this and I'm like, even like having the small comforts that I can make these choices, but the animals that you're working with cannot make the choices because we make them for them. And so I love your webinars, and I was just telling them before we started, this is how I refer everybody to them, because they are these fantastic webinars. And they, like you did one with Andrew recently, and about how to even the mats on the floor, these are simple things people can do to improve the welfare of the animals in their homes or even their care. Let's say you're at a vet clinic, all the floors are all tile. And if you have or even at a shelter. So one thing at a shelter is they're all concrete, and if you have a dog who has arthritis and they slip, they're going to be in more pain. But then how do you know that they have this pain?
Mm-hmm. No, it's really interesting because I've got quite a bad back at the moment, and I've been watching my own behavior, like that subconscious protective behavior that you have. Mm-hmm. And I was walking across some rocks on the beach the other day, and they were a little bit slippery because the sea had been in, and they were a little bit algae-fied, not that that's a word, and I could feel myself become tenser, and I could feel myself being a bit more sketchy, and I felt that when I was stepping down from a rock, because I was so guarded, everything was tighter, and the back hurt a bit more because I was guarding and thinking I was going to fall. And you kind of think, well, actually, how would it be to live like this all day, every day? But because there's no alternative in their world, they're like, well, I've just got to get on with it. I'll do the best that I can. And I get really frustrated with this phrase. And now it's going to be controversial. When people go, oh, they hide pain. They don't hide pain. They get on with it. On with it. They've got no choice. They're not hiding pain. It's not like they've got a predator anymore. 30,000 years ago, they had predators. They've been domesticated for so long that when you don't know there's an alternative, what are you going to do? You get on with it, don't you?
Well, and that's invisible illnesses. Same thing. Yeah. How many people have disabilities that you don't know about, right? Because they just get on with it.
Get on with it. So I kind of get frustrated, and I never used to say that because there's so many people that still say dogs hide pain, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be controversial, but I was chatting to a few friends like Andrew Hale and Kathy Murphy, and they were like, yeah, well, to be honest, they probably don't. We just don't see it. They're giving us all the clues, but we're pretty slow at the uptake. Partly, I think we don't have the understanding. We'd like them to make it clearer, but we're busy. So many things prevent us. We don't want to see it. So many owners don't want to see it. The total. There's so many variables that make us go, no.
Well, I was thinking about that because I do one-to-one behavior walks for dogs who have behavioral issues. I do like sniffy walks, and the dogs that I walk, most of them actually have pain. They have allergies, or they have, one is semi-blind, and they're young dogs, but because of their pain and because of it's changed their behavior to more reactivity, to more bite risks. And so I think it's the fact that we just kind of go, oh, maybe my dog's not feeling great today. They're barking at other dogs. Well, bad dog, right? They're not thinking that maybe my dog's barking at other dogs because they have a pain situation.
I know. Yeah, I know. And it's kind of heartbreaking. I think in the last 6 years, that phrase ignorance is bliss hasn't been more relevant to me. Once you start seeing it and you start seeing all around you the ways that they are communicating with us and coping, you're like, oh crikey, we've got a big problem here.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about what you're saying about walking on the rocks. So we have I live in Canada, and Calgary, which is right next to the Rocky Mountains, which is beautiful, but it's also very, very cold and snowy, which is I love as well. But because I've been going through physiotherapy, my muscles haven't been as how do you say, as strong as it could be, and I didn't have great boots, and so I had to always walk on snow because of the ice. And every step that I took, my body was doing this. It was seizing up because of the ice. And so I can only imagine the dogs. I was walking them, and I got some new boots, and I'm getting stronger, so that's fine. But yesterday we were going for a walk with the dog, and I was like, I'm moving over for the ice. What is she able to do? And so it's kind of, it's watching their movements. It's stepping ourselves back and creating ourselves as unbiased observers and saying, why is my dog doing these actions?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But it's funny that you said about the ice is I do some of our social media now, but we've got a team, luckily, because it was quite hard juggling working in social media and website and stuff.
Exhausting.
So when I did my own Facebook about 2 years ago, I used myself as a dummy a lot. And I'd film myself doing things that we expect our dogs to just do. And one of them was walking down a sloping hill that was icy. Mm-hmm. And I was just going, oh my God, my back's really tight. I'm clenching. I'm anxious that I'm going to fall over. This is not a good place to be. This is someone's kitchen with their arthritic dog. It was really good to be able to play with material to give people the chance to see things differently. Because most owners, when I say, please put a rug down, more rugs, less drugs, they're like, why? Yeah, it's dog-friendly flooring. You're like, dog-friendly for you. It's easy to clean. It's dog-friendly. And you can see them really struggling to grab hold of it. It goes against everything they've ever believed to put a carpet underneath a dog, because that's not going to be easy to clean. And then when you say something like the ice analogy, they're like, oh my God, get it. So yeah, like playing with metaphors and analogies and descriptions that people can connect with.
Yeah, so I actually just recently posted a threshold level poster on traffic lights and creating an analogy of the threshold levels being a traffic light, like red is over the threshold, and orange or yellow, depends on the country, is at threshold, and green is under sub-threshold, right? So it's knowing, but having that analogy, and that's what I love to do as a writer as well, as I love to tell these stories. And that's what I love that Cam does, is you tell these stories so that people, they get it. Because like you said, like, how can we change their behavior? We can change their behavior by making it relatable.
Yeah, exactly. And I beat myself up a lot because I'm definitely not like an amazing academic, and I'm not a forerunner of discovering exciting stuff. I haven't come up for the cure of arthritis and all this stuff. But I think what Cam does do, which it can get neglected, is just try and make it understandable, comprehensible for all people. And we play with the same ideas in all different veins, so in the hope that our followers will go, oh, I get it now. I didn't understand that. And you'll see the same topic come up in different formats. It might be an infographic, it might be a GIF, it might be a conversation, it might be a hashtag Dear Holly. It's the same content. And some of my colleagues, I won't mention any names, but they're like, aren't you bored yet, Hannah? Aren't you bored of arthritis? Like, no, we haven't even started, because the problem is massive. It's massive, and we need to learn how we can help owners understand it best, catch it early, so they can have the biggest impact.
What I love about you, one of the things you guys do for social media is Blunt Mondays, and that's like I
love my Blunt Mondays.
Yeah, I always repost it on my social media and tag you guys on Instagram, because Facebook you only have so much room to play with. But I love Blunt Mondays because it really just like says, here's how it's going, here's how you talk about it, but here's actually what is really happening bluntly. And I love it. It makes me very excited.
Yeah, so Janina, who runs social media, she's like, right, I need another 4 Blunt Mondays for the month. And I'm sitting there going, how far can I go? The line, Hannah. And it was quite funny actually, because I found the line very, very early, and this is a true story. So one Blunt Monday many years ago, I had said about arthritis is such a household name, it just doesn't have impact anymore, whereas Alabama rot was going crazy over here, and it was hitting the headlines, it got to the national news. And then you looked at how many dogs had died of Alabama rot, and please don't get me wrong, I do not dismiss the disease, but facts and figures, that there had been 140 dogs in the whole of the UK over 8 years that had died of, you're like, wait a minute, like 20,000 dogs a week are dying of OA, being put to sleep, massive difference in figures. So I was like, right, let's play with the name, let's change it to joint rot. So it's Alabama rot, let's go joint rot. And that post went crazy. People were like, yeah. So I played with it again the next week. And I called it mobility cancer, because it's a terminal disease. And then that really hit the deck badly. And I was like, I'm going to pull that post. But you do have to kind of like step and play, because unfortunately, we're in the world of social media where things that are a bit controversial do get shared. They're more likely to get shared.
Yes. And
you want to get shared so that you actually get people listening and understanding and learning, isn't it? So it's a funny world. It's a funny world, trying to be a vet and be very academic and very factual, but also going, right, we need to be current and be able to educate in a way that's going to be engaging. And I don't get it right all the time.
No, it's I think we were talking about this earlier. As a professional, like, we're both trained professionals in our field, like, we have the certifications, we're not trained business people. And that's the biggest problem, is
we're not psychologists either.
Yeah,
not psychologists, we're not sociologists. There's so much that we're not, and it's very hard getting it right for a large global audience when you don't have that massive skill base.
Yeah, it's very, very hard. Taryn, who's also the co-coordinator, she has a question. She says, as a trainer, behavior practitioner, when I do see signs of discomfort in dogs, I find it hard to communicate that to owners in a way that doesn't cause them to go into immediate denial, which is what you were talking about. People always want to make excuses, and I understand it's hard to accept that there may be something wrong with your companion you love very much. Her question is, do you have any tips on how to help people see what we're seeing without them closing down to what we're saying? And then how,
Yeah.
there's actually two parts to this, so we'll do that part first so I don't lose you. So how do you help them?
Okay, so the first part,
Yeah.
I've done 3 of them today, and my tips are: you've got patience, you've got to listen, you've got to let them confess, because when they're doing denial, it's almost a confessional. So you've got to be patient, and you've got to, even when you're bored, you've heard it all before, you're running out of time, they're missing the good stuff whilst they confess what they believe they've seen. You've got to listen to it. So accept that. Next is take it from verbal into some kind of graphical, pictorial, written presentation, because the pain, when it goes into print, it's kind of like a different level of understanding. When you're verbally, it's soup. They're hearing verbal soup, and they've got one track mind going this direction. It's not happening. This can't be true. I'm trying to listen to you. This can't be true. I'm trying to listen to you. So take in another one of the sentences and start using something visual. So we've got a PDF on the website called Suspicion of Chronic Pain. So you go to caninearthritis.co.uk. How CAM can help you. Downloads and resources. And in that section is a PDF called Suspicion of Chronic Pain. And it's a A4 piece of paper where chronic pain is in the center. At the top, it's behavior change, posture change, physical changes, capability and gait changes. And under each of those headings, there are 3 places for you to write your observations. All of them are taking that owner's brain into, well, I've seen this, this, and this, this, and this, this, and this, in all these different categories that all start looking like it coalesces to chronic pain. Right, I can't really deny this anymore. I've heard it, I've seen it, and it's somebody else's print, it's somebody else's logo, it's therefore formal, it's official, it's strong. Try that way and see if that helps you, because you've also created your perfect tool for that owner to take immediately to the vet.
Yeah, because I find that even though if they're like, say I have a client in front of me, they want to listen to me, but if I send them something from you, that actually sounds more authoritative, because, or like they'll listen to it more because they might not always listen to the person in front of them.
Exactly, and that's the whole plan behind CAM. Was I was having exactly the same. I was a qualified vet, and I would be passing on my information to the owner or to another vet. Verbally, they weren't listening. Written, maybe. Turn it into a logoed up, fully fledged, well-respected color scheme, font, branding experience. They're like, whoa, this is quite strong. You can't fight that. So you're exactly right. Branding is something that gives people confidence and trust. So make use of it.
And that goes back to her other question is, and then how should we handle it when owners do a follow-up on, let's say, a vet visit, and the vet doesn't take it seriously and says the dog is fine without doing any real investigation?
Okay, so first of all, I would preempt that. So when I've been doing my private one-on-ones, I will say, I'm going to warn you now, I've been on many, many courses, and I have a ridiculously obsessive interest in this. So I kind of slightly semi-human myself. I am obsessed with this. I spend a lot of time researching this, going on courses, reading books, speaking to experts. My colleague, who you're going to go and see, their expertise potentially somewhere else. They're potentially expert in hearts, ears, eyes, something else. So they might not see what I see. So I want you to be prepared for them to be a little bit cynical of our findings. But I just want you to go with an open mind with this piece of paper, with these observations, and say, I'm really concerned. I know that my dog is likely to behave differently in the consult room. They're going to be aroused. They're going to be stressed. They're potentially not going to show you what I've seen or my dog trainer has seen. If there is any scope that pain is involved, I would like to follow that pathway. I would like you to help me follow that pathway. So they've just got to go in with the material, with that kind of conversation of, this is difficult. I respect it's difficult. I also tell people about from the vet perspective. So I'll say, right, put yourself in that vet's shoes. They've come in for your expertise, their expertise, and that dog isn't showing them anything to worry about, but they're wanting you to prescribe a drug that could have an adverse event. So you've got a dog that, to all its purposes, looks okay to them, and that trainer and that owner is saying, I really think a pain trial might be a good idea, a pain relief trial. And you know, as a vet, that 95% of dogs are fine on that medication, but there's 5% that might get diarrhea or they might get vomiting. You're so scared that that's going to be that one, that bloody one is going to go away and start having gastrointestinal signs. You sit there going, well, I haven't got enough evidence to do that. I haven't got enough evidence that I've seen to convince me that the risk is worth it. So I do talk to my owners like that and say, see it from the vet perspective. So you need to be confident with them that you're accepting that there may be a very small risk of an adverse event. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I make sure I spend a lot of time explaining how difficult it is to pass cases between different disciplines. It is difficult.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking about that. I find when you go to a vet and you have, let's say we as a trainer or a behaviorist, we could provide the owner with this, and we can even help them fill it in to kind of like guide them. Depends on the individual. Some people don't want to do that, but each their own. Yeah. I find when you have a vet and you've given them material that looks branded, that looks professional, they're more willing to listen than if you just show them the dog in front of them.
Exactly.
It
exactly.
gives a guide.
I've also listened to what owners, I said to them as their external support hub. And then I hear they said to the vet, I'm like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. And like Chinese whispers is prolific. You know, they say that patients, so the human patient with their own condition, being in a doctor's consulting room, will listen to 25% of what is said, and 50% of what is said they'll remember wrong. So they're only taking 25% and they're only going to remember 50% of that correctly. Yeah. So when you, a trainer, are talking to people, they ain't gonna take much of that with them, and if they do, they're gonna change it. So get it down. Yeah,
and that's why I think like having things in writing is very, very important, and having the infographics, because I find, especially with our day and age, people are very, very visual. They need to see it. If they don't see it, why are they going to spend 5 minutes reading something when they can just look at a picture and say, okay, that's it, you know? Yeah. And if I was talking to somebody on Wednesday and they said, why would I read an article that says 1,500 words when I could just, you know, watch a video?
Exactly.
So that's something that they could say, okay, well, I know as a veterinarian you have these concerns, because a lot of vets are, there's like the new movement going on right now. There's a lot of more holistic and a lot of more like fear-free movement about, you know, like preparing for the dog's welfare, preparing for their care, and like you said, chronic pain. And a lot of vets are also feeling that, and they're also feeling that the COVID situation, you know, because it's hard in every country. And so they're under a lot of stress. So also you need to see it from the vet's perspective, as they're going through hard days, you know, they're going through a lot of challenges. And how can we as professionals help other professionals? Because right now I think we're all struggling, either mentally, financially, or physically, with the situations at hand.
Oh, no, I totally agree. And I think creating a kit where an owner goes to their vet with photos pointing out the things that you're seeing, videos of gait changes, movement patterns, the questionnaire. So there's a questionnaire there as well called What Has Changed for My Dog? They can fill that of behavioral changes, physical changes, capability changes, what medications they're on, what supplements they're already on, what food that they're on, what's their daily lifestyle. The suspicion of chronic pain document, going in with that and going, there's a really big case for there being an underlying musculoskeletal complaint here. And it might be difficult for us to pinpoint it exactly where it is today, but we certainly could be suggesting a pain trial and seeing how that dog is 4 to 12 weeks later. If we've seen an improvement in some of those visuals, but also in behavior, very supportive. There's something going on here.
Yeah. So other question I had for you is, are you guys just focused on dogs, no kitty cats?
No, God, no. The problem is ran out of money. Money. Which is the devil's currency, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when I set up Cam, I was really stubborn. I knew I wanted to do it. And I sold my house and I allowed myself to spend half of my deposit for my next house on Cam. So I invested about £45,000 into getting Cam launched. And yeah, I'm not willing to do that for cats yet. I haven't got my money back on Cam yet. It's kind of like any fairy godfathers out there. I will do cats in an instant, but it's not cheap. You know, the outgoings of Cam now. Well, my overheads per month and not paying a wage in any form to me is about £2,000.
Yeah.
So no, actually it's worse than that. It's coming on to an after 3. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, and I think this is something that, again, COVID has made a big factor, is people don't have the money nowadays to make donations. And so that's a big thing, is, you know, before, like, that's, people would make donations because they had more expendable money. And I find a lot of things for rescue organizations are really struggling because they don't have the resources that they would normally have, because the donations are not there, whether it's a physical or financial one. And so that's a big thing, is, you know, we can include a donation link, because running my own business, I know how much money I spend per month on even like the Zoom, you know, like, or Canva or website materials. And so as a large organization, I can only imagine how hard it is for you guys, and to not have consistent overhead helped out. And I think that's another big thing we should be talking about, is the financial cost of running an organization as large as Cam, because it's not easy. You have to pay people's wages who are underneath you, and you have to work a job. And I think people look on Facebook and they see this beautiful, fantastic organization, and, you know, whether it's yours or mine or, you know, ICAN, they don't see the cost, the toll, the struggle. They see, oh, look at, yeah,
you're absolutely right. And I've had so many people go, oh, I love your Facebook page. I'm like, I don't sit and write posts once a day. You know, it's not a 10-minute per day job. We try to reply to everybody. We run Holly's Army, where we look after every person that comes in. We're trying to get one of our Facebook Lives guests. So it's quite hard work because people are so busy. So you know, for me to get hold of Duncan Lascelles, he is the God pain of the world. And me and my assistant will probably send him 40 emails before he replies to one of them, because he's so blinking busy. And you think about that, the hours that are put in just trying to get a date.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for us. I just want people to kind of understand it's a real reality.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be like, hey, like, you know, take pity. I think we need to openly discuss the struggles of running an organization, because people just see the material, the facade, you know, like they see oh my God, look at Cam, it's this fantastic, which you are a fantastic organization, and I love promoting your work, which I do consistently. But to run the organization is a challenge.
But it will get better. And that's the thing, is that anything that's starting off is always going to be hard. So when that feline arthritis.co.uk comes out, it's going to be killer. It's going to be killer quick. Oh. So
I have several kitties that could help be your
oh, well, the cat problem is just way worse than the dog.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's just ridiculous. And even as a vet, I'm working in a practice in Cornwall now, and I'm really excited. It's an independent practice. It's small. The partners are really keen on introducing chronic pain consultations, and they let me grow them, and they're giving them time, and I'm allowed to use all the resources, and we're investing heavily into making it be an amazing experience for the owners, so that we can learn how to run a great chronic pain clinic in a first opinion practice, giving it the time and energy and information it needs. And so I'm always watching what I'm doing as a first opinion vet to fit into the timescale I'm given, to meet the owner's needs, to meet reception nurses and vets needs, to get the animal in and out as quickly as possible because they're so stressed. If you've got a cat in for a vaccine and the owner has never seen that anything is wrong with it, and you're pushing down its back and it's going, don't do that. So there's no physical appearance change. They've not overgroomed and not chewing themselves. It's going to be such a freaking surprise. You go back to that and you go, no, your cat's 5, and I know you came in for a vaccine and you're up to date with your worming and your flea treatment, but by the way, your cat's in pain. They don't go, what?
Yeah.
He still jumps on the sofa, still runs up and down the stairs. So cats is way different level because people don't walk them, don't observe them as much. They spend most of their life sleeping or outside. Cats is going to be, it's going to be a different level.
I'd be very excited to help you here though, because for me, I have 3 different sized animals. I have a 7. Okay, I'll use British ones. I'll use kg instead of pounds. She is 3.7 kg, tiny little one. She's fine. Then I have the guy next to me, Patches, who is 7.5 kg. So he's a little bit bigger, but he's okay. And then I have a 9 kg cat. And they're over 10 years old. So Marmalade, the small one, she has great mobility because she's tiny. But Spark, the larger one, who I can send you, he's big and fluffy and he's a ginger cat. So he's just like, and he's a bit of a slut for pets. If you walk by him and do not pet him, he will tell you off. But because of his size, I've had to put boxes around for him to jump up. And his mobility is much more affected. And that's what I was thinking is like, it's not just for dogs. And this is one thing I was really excited to talk to you about. It's for horses. It's for all the animals in our care. Is, as we get older, we feel the pain in our bodies. We help ourselves with an Advil. Are we helping our pets?
No, I agree. And it's also everything that branches off of it. So it's the behavioral changes, it's the fact that they become more difficult to train, or they lose their training that they've had all their life. It's the fact that they start looking like they've got like cognitive dysfunction when actually it's chronic pain affecting their cognitive ability. It's the fact that the walks and the routines change. There's all these things that branch off underlying chronic pain that lead to associated issues that affect people's relationship and quality of life with their pet. Chronic pain is a massive problem. We need to be doing more for it. It's just trying to get people to engage with it. And that's why CAM tries to be brightly coloured, innovative, fun, engaging, friendly. There's so many things. For example, our branding, believe it or not, I had to get a guy that does brandings for gas and electricity companies. He's really good at his game. And I was like, I want us to be fun, engaging, caring, supportive, light-hearted, inclusive. The colours, the fonts, everything's got to imply this. And so that's how CAM got created. So even down to that kind of fine detail, because we want people not to avoid us. We want people to come and step in so that they will learn, because some of the stuff we talk about is hard work. When I look back at what I did with my previous dog, when I didn't know what I know now, I could make myself feel really uncomfortable for being so stupid. I could sit there and beat myself up. I could feel horrendous guilt at being a bad pet owner. But luckily for me, I can go, well, I didn't know what I know now. But there's a lot of the public that can't do that, and they do step into guilt and denial. So yeah, there's a lot of thought behind how we represent ourselves to make sure that we're inviting.
Yeah. One question I think maybe you should address is how chronic pain can affect welfare, because I understand it and you do, but maybe the people who are viewing it don't understand how chronic pain can affect an animal's welfare negatively.
So welfare is kind of, it's a hard thing to define. There's lots of different definitions. Basically, welfare is an animal's ability to have an independently driven, good quality of life. And you can go back to the really kind of like prehistoric 5 freedoms that were 1965.
Yeah.
Freedom to eat, the freedom from pain, the freedom from, oh my God, independent mobility, yeah, freedom of fear, all these sorts of things. And it was created for the farm industry.
Yep.
So farm species. So that's like your primitive 5 welfares. And now we have other ways of suggesting what is appropriate welfare. But there is still a big subjectivity to it. Now stepping into looking at pain. So pain is going to have a massive impact on a animal's independent mobility and animals' anxiety, frustration and fear. It's going to have an impact on the ability for them to clean themselves and have activities of daily living. There's so many of their freedoms that are affected by pain. So yes, it's going to affect their welfare. So in many ways, chronic pain affects quality of life, and the welfare is a definition of quality of life. You know, big welfare means we want them to have a good quality of life. Oh, did I help that at all? No, probably not.
No, I mean, I got it. Okay, quality of life is determined by the animals. So I would actually go back to not the 1965, I go to the 2001 Animal Welfare Act, where it was not freedom from or freedom to, but it was discussing about how I have it on my computer. 1 second.
I find lovely definitions. It's so good.
I'd created my own infographic because I was tired of it. There we go. Yeah, you need to create your own infographics are fantastic to have. Okay, that's freedoms. This one is a welfare needs. It's a need, not a freedom from. So the freedom from or freedom to is from the 5 freedoms. So 5 welfare needs is still outdated because it's 20 years ago, but it's need. One of the things I think would be relative is the need to be protected from pain, suffering, injury, and disease. And so that would be one thing that people can do is create an environment that will reduce any potential discomfort, suffering, or pain. So that would be like at your home or at the vet clinic or at the rescue. Because, you know, a lot of people who don't understand, like a senior dog that has just been, you know, surrendered to the rescue because their owner just passed away from COVID or other conditions, you know, that dog more than likely has OA. You know, it's an older animal. So how can they change the environment so it's not going to cause pain? And then from the pain, you're going to have fear, anxiety, stress, aggression. So that's kind of how I like to think about it is, how is it we can make the environment into a suitable place for our animals that we can decrease any sort of suffering. So like I said, like creating boxes for my cat. So they're not very pretty. I want to get a pretty ottoman, but I'm not, you know, money. I like to have money that goes to me, but I use a bin, you know, it's a plastic bin. I don't want to make it pretty. It's good enough for the cat. And he jumps onto things with the plastic bin. He doesn't mind it. He actually likes to sleep on it. He likes to sleep on everything. Or I use chairs in a specific way. So it's, you know, again, I'd love to have pretty ottomans or like, you know, everything like that, or like little stairs, but money. So it's just creating an environment in your home, in your clinic. So if you have a vet clinic and maybe you have senior patients coming through, can you put some, you know, like non-stick rugs on the floor, and you can easily clean those. I think there's loads of them out there that you can clean, and you guys have lots that you sell on online, and you also have lots of like the tape that you sell as well. So you know, like there are products that you guys sell, and actually I'm scrolling through your Instagram page, and I love that you have an illustrated storybook. So you have that Do You Listen book that you can give out at your vet clinic, let's say, or at your rescue. And then let's say if you have a rescue organization, you can maybe work with Cam or contact Cam because this is a must read. You know, to have the visual storybook for people who have younger kids with an older dog. They don't recognize that maybe jumping on the dog is not a good idea. Or that maybe the dog chasing the ball for 35 minutes will actually create intense pain for the dog. So it's, you know, it's giving these options and these materials to professional or
Yeah, I
professional.
think also, in honesty, a lot of those resources are created because none of us are infallible. None of us have got endless energy to repeat ourselves in 100 different forms to hope that that owner that's in our care will finally get it.
Yeah.
So I resort to using the resources all the time. At the moment, working as the first opinion vet, I will sign my owners up onto the CAM Essentials course for owners. I'll give them the flyers that give them the 10 daily emails. And I will say, I've got 20 years of knowledge that I want to give you, but I ain't going to be able to do it in the next 10 minutes. So what I think is going to be really efficient for you and your dog is for us to do such and such today. You go away and do this reading. I want you to read this book. I want to watch that YouTube live. And then I'm going to see you in a week. And we're going to be able to cut to the crack quicker. Yeah. We're going to tailor our management plan to suit you quicker, more efficient, more cost effective. So using resources is to your advantage in a million ways. But just going back to the welfare thing, if you ever as a trainer trying to get that point across to owners, you're thinking, I can't waffle on like they just did. They didn't get to the point very quickly. Can just say, so the Royal Vet College over in the UK, they've looked at the diseases which have the biggest impact on our pets. And the disease that is what causes the most suffering for the longest amount of time is arthritis. Yeah. So the most suffering for the longest amount of time is arthritis. So we need to say.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about that because my sister's cat has arthritis. And so she has to do daily medication. And so it's even, I was thinking about one of the last questions for our, because we have a list of questions which I've kind of been slowly going through, is integrating force-free training or cooperative training techniques to help animals with arthritis. So it's not just changing the environment, it's how you give the medication. So for cats, a lot of cats don't like medication via syringe, but they also don't like to eat food with medication. So it's, or other dogs, maybe some dogs don't like don't like to take a syringe either, or have their muzzles being touched because maybe they have dental pain. And so it's kind of knowing how to integrate force-free training and welfare with veterinary care to help the overall welfare. And so I think that's what CAM does, is you say, okay, here are the resources of how you can help the welfare at home with the environment. Here are the trainers that we work with, because you work with a lot of trainers if you need cooperative care, and then here are the veterinary side of things, which is what you guys are very, very fantastic about. So that's
what we're trying to do. We're definitely trying to be just a support pillar. And, I think there's too many amazing people. Like on my journey for the last few years, I have met incredible people. You just sit there going, you've got brain the size of a plant. Oh my God, you're so innovative. I've not thought of it like that. Or you've discovered something really, really massive here. So there's no way in the world that CAM can ever say that it's like a forerunner with innovative new approaches. It's not. We're just making sure that what we do know and we're confident is said in so many different ways that it is going to be useful for people like you to tap into to help your clients. We're thinking about mass effect of improved care.
Yeah, because I was thinking like it's an overall, what you guys do is an overall plan, and that's the best way to do. It's like an umbrella, the best way is I've been doing the writing. So it's like a flagship. It's like a flagship species which protects everything underneath the umbrella. And that's kind of what you're doing. You're protecting the species that you love to help, but you're also protecting, like dogs can be the umbrella for the cats or the horses or the other animals that you want to help in what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, and I refer people with arthritic cats to the CAM website and say there's a massive overlap. Obviously not in medication, but concepts are still the same.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, because with my cats, is making sure, okay, they're getting older, they're over 10 years old, they're seniors. But we have now hit the 45-minute mark. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
Buy the book. Buy the children's book.
Yeah.
This CAM is self-funded. We do have we have actually secured a support for 2022, Big Barker Beds in America. They are going to become CAM's chief sponsor, which is a massive, like, wow.
Yeah.
However, we'll have to consider that we need to be financially independent.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get into bed with anybody, because we don't want to bias our content in any shape or form. And the children's illustrated book is a really good pillar of support for CAM. So if we have helped you because you've referred 10, 15, 20, 50 clients, then just help us back by thinking, well, I'm going to stock the children's book. I can buy 20 of them. I can even make a bit of money out of it because I can buy them cheap and I can sell them on. That is massive for us.
Yeah. And make sure you put it at your vet clinics, you put them at your rescues, or if you are working with children and dogs, make sure you can actually have on your website link to it as well. Is there any way that you can have people connect with you, or how would you like people to connect with CAM to learn more about what you do and your courses?
Oh yeah. So if you want to connect in with the team, info@caninearthritis.co.uk. So CANINE arthritis.co.uk. If you want to learn more about arthritis, there's cameducation.co.uk, where there's a number of different courses there. If you want to just get lost in a massive website, that's caninearthritis.co.uk. If you want to be spoken to for about 450 hours of live interviews, you can go to Canine Arthritis Management YouTube channel. If you just want to visually engage with content that's going to keep you on track, go to Instagram, Cam Arthritis. Loads.
Okay, so there you go. I will stop the recording, but before I do, I want to say thank you very much for your time, and I really hope that everybody enjoyed the Facebook Live. We'll be posting on YouTube, as I mentioned at the very beginning, once I figure out how to do that, because that does take its own time. If you do want to connect with Cam, Cam is an ICAN member, but you can definitely connect with all of the resources that you said, Facebook, Instagram. You guys have your YouTube videos, you have everything. And thank you so much very much for your time.
No worries. Nice to see you.